Well, we grew quite fast, I guess. So that's one of the kind of the catalysts of kind of meeting Ron, is that we'd grown very quickly and taken on a lot more staff. So we'd gone from just starting with myself and my girlfriend Julia and my friend Pete. We'd pretty much started the business about five and a half years ago, and then pretty much doubled in size every year since then. But obviously that wasn't very difficult when it's 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. But by the time you're going from sort of 8 to 16 and up from there, it gets quite challenging and a lot of new skills to take on. So
that is fast, actually, across 5 years. So how many people did you increase by in the last year?
I think we've gone from about 15 to about 29, somewhere around that, in the last year. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Okay, define interesting. How has it felt those 5 years?
Well, it's always exciting. I think that's the thing. I kind of don't ever go to work kind of feeling bored, to say the least. And I think we like challenging ourselves, myself and my friends, and especially in Brighton, it's a very creative place. So you're surrounded by a lot of creativity and a lot of innovation all the time. So you don't really feel that you're doing anything particularly special day to day. But I guess when you sort of zoom out and look at it from a different perspective, perhaps what we're doing is quite interesting. So yeah, it's just like a natural progression really for us. It just sort of happens around us really.
But I imagine when you're going that fast, what sort of things were you encountering, issues?
Yeah, well I guess when you start a business, I mean, I didn't really have any business background or any kind of, didn't go to business school or anything like that. So you don't really appreciate how the culture and the situation is going to change the more people you have. So adding more people does sort of change the dynamics of stuff, and sort of putting more process and structure in for people around you and is very important. And I guess that's kind of the skill we need to take on quite quickly, because when you probably start going above 15, 16 people, you don't get to speak to everybody every day yourself anymore, and sort of certain formalised communication structures and processes become a lot more important. And actually even getting an awareness of that was probably important, and that's where Ron and Shirlaws kind of came in to help us really.
Yes, so if you go into that in more detail, exactly what were they doing that helped you manage what was a really growing team, and getting to speak to them every day? What were they doing that helped you do that?
Yeah, well I think one of the big things with Shirlaws is helping you to understand sort of the context of your business, and that perhaps there's sort of certain stages of business that people go through, and obviously I guess when you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, that's the great thing about Shirlaws, is a lot of the things are quite digestible and easy to understand, which is important when you're trying to run your business and kind of do your own thing. You don't necessarily have time to go to university and do a master's or pick up all that knowledge that you might like to have. So it's great that you can just sort of take it in very easy to manage chunks. And what Shirlaws were great at that point in our business was helping you understand sort of where you are in your own business, and probably helping to understand why some things have happened before and what's probably going to happen next, and then you can sort of prepare for it a bit really. So.
And what difference does that make to your team? If you're a bit more clear about what you're doing, what impact did that have on your team?
Yeah, I think getting a bit of clarity and focus in kind of where you're going is very, very important. And actually the more you understand that yourself, the more you can sort of be relaxed and articulate that to the people around you as well. Because I guess people look to me more than I realise sometimes for direction. And if I know where I'm going, then and I'm calm and confident about that, then it kind of helps everyone to be less stressed around me, I guess, and that is very important, because growing quite fast can be quite stressful, but it doesn't have to be stressful if you have a bit of vision and clarity about where you're going, I guess. So
you're smiling a lot. I just wondered what were the stresses at that time?
It's hard to think back really, to be honest, because we move so fast that every day is a new dawn, as it were, and you've kind of forgotten what happened last week, which is part of the fun. But I guess just having sort of things like regular team meetings and kind of talking to people a bit more in groups was a very important shift for me. And before, I would always try and talk to people individually, and actually by the time you've got 20 people, you can't necessarily spend an hour a week with everybody individually, because that would be nearly a full week in itself. So it's kind of I think the stresses we're trying to kind of get around and keep everybody informed, and actually kind of people hear half conversations from other people, and if you don't have the proper communication processes and stuff in place, then that can be chaotic, and you're kind of chasing your tail a bit. So it was quite stressful at certain points, but having Shirlaws come in and give us a bit of direction definitely helped with that. So
can you give me an example then of how Shirlaws helped you communicate with a much bigger team. What have they done? What sort of framework have they given you?
Yeah, so one of the big exercises that we've done with Shirlaws is kind of a positioning piece, essentially. And I guess because we're like a creative digital agency, that's kind of what we do for our clients to a large extent, is helping them to market themselves and articulate externally to other people what they're about and kind of find new customers and stuff like that. So it's weird because what they came in and did for us was pretty much what, in a way, like a more grown up version of what we were already doing, but it helps to give you a framework to know that actually not just externally communicating to your customers but internally sort of talking to your team and stuff is really important, and they're kind of two sides of the same coin. So yeah, what Shirlaws have helped me to do is kind of think through where we're going and what is it that makes us unique, which I guess you know that yourself anyway, but it's just sort of writing it down and kind of explaining it and documenting it and all the important stuff that stops it just being in your head and allows other people to sort of read it and find out about it.
It's interesting you saying that what you were doing on a day-to-day basis with your clients was exactly what Shirlaws suddenly made you think to do with yourselves.
Yeah.
How much of a penny-dropping moment was that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of being hit in the face with a wet fish in a way, because you kind of you just assume, I guess, when you're kind of living your life every day that everyone else is kind of inside your head and knows what's going on, but I guess the bigger and faster it goes, the less people are there with you all the time hearing exactly what you're saying and thinking. So kind of you need a way to transmit that message a bit more globally or in a more of a broadcast sense rather than a one-on-one sense. So yeah, I think the positioning stuff has been really helpful, just in terms of getting a bit of clarity around where I want to go and where I think we all want to go, and actually sort of involving our customers and our staff as well in kind of what they think makes our company unique or interesting or innovative and stuff, and actually getting that kind of crystallized in a way that we can communicate it to other people, I guess, really. So.
And in terms of your growth and your future over the next couple of years, where do you see yourself going, bolstered by this new clarity? Yeah,
well, I guess, I mean, understanding the sort of the stages, models and stuff for Shirlaws is really interesting too, because I think you sort of understand that there's a different kind of, I guess, emotional energy with businesses at different points in their life cycle. So we certainly really enjoy kind of working with brands and going through sort of the growth cycle with them and kind of making them kind of more successful, and that's really where a lot of the excitement comes for us. So I think now we've identified that, we've really been able to position our business and kind of explain to people that we're looking to sort of find brands and grow them, and we've been very lucky to work with a kind of a couple of big airlines and some kind of big DJs and music festivals and stuff like that, and all of them really, when it comes back to it, are kind of brands that are growing, and we're a big part of that. So it's yeah, it's been really exciting because now we can define what we want. It makes it easier to find it, and people come to us naturally rather than us having to search for them as well. So it's.
So can you tell me in a few words what you're about? Can you define it for me in a sentence or two?
Yeah, so I'd say we're a creative digital agency, and we specialise in kind of finding innovative ways to use technology to grow brands, really. So that's kind of, it's largely online, kind of social media and kind of websites and graphic design, and sort of fusing all of those sort of elements together to create sort of innovative, interesting sort of user experiences, really. So.
And from your staff's point of view, what difference has that branding made to them? I'm just thinking in terms of productivity or motivation. What have you noticed from that?
Yeah, well, I think it helps people to get kind of engaged with us more, and actually to articulate to maybe their own partners or friends what it is that BozBoz is, because actually the technology world is very fast and diverging, so actually having a sort of a clear direction within it and a kind of a bit of a vector about what we're about, I think it's helpful for everyone, because everybody in our company are very specialist. I mean, we've got graphic designers and marketeers and kind of sort of database experts and all sorts of different technologists, as well as sort of people, account managers and stuff like that. So actually that can be quite a melting pot of different people, but I guess having the kind of same core aim is what ties us all together, really. So it's good to get that defined in a way that it's easier anyway to articulate it. So.
You had impressive figures at the beginning of our chat. So what figures are you putting on your expansion for the next year or so?
Yeah, well, we're still growing very quickly. I think we kind of, in actuality, we probably haven't grown as much in the last year as we have historically, just because I thought it was very important to get our processes right and kind of make sure that we didn't kind of break up in the velocity of it all. So I think we've got a lot more structure about us now, and I'd hope that we would grow maybe another 50% or so, maybe up to about 40 people in the next year if things go well. But I mean, there's no rush for me to grow. It's not about growth for growth's sake. It's about kind of controlled growth, which I think is also one of the really important things I've learned from Shirlaws, that it's important to know why you're growing and do it naturally and in a structured way, rather than just kind of sort of keep putting people in seats and seeing what happens. But
and from your point of view, how much have you changed? How do you see yourself?
I think I've got more relaxed and sort of learning to delegate more, because I think that's one of the things kind of starting the business as I did. I guess you're very controlling and you've got a very kind of clear aim about how you want to do it, but actually the people that come around you are actually sort of just as much part of it as you are, so really listening to them and helping them to sort of shape it. So I'm on the front of the wave rather than kind of paddling myself. Is kind of, that's where I am now, I guess, and yeah, that's good fun because you can be more relaxed and enjoy the ride a bit more, I think.